Hey there, Taku here, and I hope you're doing well. And in this video, I wanted to share how this little lock saved me from potentially a huge headache and maybe even a new lock or suitcase. So recently, I took a trip from Toronto, Ontario to Halifax, Nova Scotia to do an interview. And in doing that interview, I packed my suitcase with a lot of camera gear and lighting gear in order to be able to do that interview. So in that suitcase, I had things like 2 tripods, 2 light stands, a 5-in-1 reflector like this. I had my Nanlite bag here, and inside this bag, I had the Nanlite Forza 60C and the Nanlite FS-300B for my lighting. I also had some lighting modifiers in there, and as well a couple of articles of clothing. Now, in addition to all that, I had a clipboard with with basically a list of questions that I was gonna ask my interviewee. So in my suitcase, I originally had a non-TSA approved lock. So thinking that TSA approved locks are only required in the United States, I thought, well, why not just use that non-TSA approved lock? However, I did have a bunch of TSA approved locks lying around available for me to use. So really in the last minute, I just decided on a whim to change that non-TSA approved lock to one that is approved by TSA. When I landed in Halifax at the airport and I went to get my baggage, as soon as I took my baggage off the carousel, I noticed that the TSA approved lock was actually no longer locking my 2 zippers. It was actually only on one of the zipper pulls, and I instantly knew at that point that my suitcase had been checked and opened. So I went off to the side to a bench and I actually opened up my suitcase to see if they had taken anything. And sure enough, the first thing that I see that's lying on my suitcase is this notice by the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority. And it essentially states that they looked through my bag to see if there was anything dangerous or prohibited in it, and they would remove anything that was prohibited. Otherwise, they would have left everything intact and let the baggage go through its normal procedure. So I took a look at this, and then I looked into my bag itself to see if anything was taken or removed. But on this form, the first check was actually checked. It says search conducted, no items removed. Now, if you think about it, I can see why they had inspected my bag, because once they x-ray my bag, they'll see some pretty unfamiliar objects in there that might be suspicious. They'll see something like circular like this for my reflector, a rectangular box like this for the Nanlite LED lights that I had, and then some tubular items there, which were my light stand and my tripod. Normally you would see things like clothing and whatnot, but they were very scarce in my suitcase, so it was pretty obvious to them that something was going on, and that's why they had to open up and check my bag. So I looked through my bag, and it doesn't seem like they had taken anything out from there. It really didn't even seem like they looked at anything. Everything was intact. It didn't seem like they shuffled through all my bags and everything. And I have a good idea why they did what they did. So I had my clipboard with my questionnaire sitting right on top of my Nanlite bag. So that was literally the first thing that you would see when you open up the suitcase. So when the inspectors opened it up, they saw that clipboard. They opened up the clipboard and they saw it actually said questions for the interviewee, and I had my list of questions there. So once they saw that, they probably thought, oh yeah, this guy is legit. He just has some camera and lighting equipment on there to do an on-site interview. So they just close that clipboard, put this sign up on top of the clipboard, and then just close the suitcase again. So I guess the moral of the story is, do use a TSA approved lock when you're traveling within Canada. Canadian airport authorities do have the key to be able to open these TSA approved locks, even though it's not mandatory when traveling through Canada. So regardless, I would just use it anyway if you're traveling through the Canada or the United States, just to be sure, since if they want to check your luggage, they have the ability to do so without damaging anything. Had I not used a TSA approved lock, they might actually try and open your lock by brute force, by cutting it or some other method. And I don't believe they'll actually go through the process of breaking your suitcase, but in the case that they might do that, then it would have saved you from buying a new suitcase. I do believe that if they are not able to open up your suitcase for any reason, then they'll actually deny your suitcase to go onto the airplane. They'll hand it back to the airline, at which case that would just cause even more of a headache. So thank you to that TSA approved lock and my last minute decision to use this instead. So if you think your suitcase has the potential of being checked, then always remember to use a TSA approved lock. So that's the moral of this story. Do you have any stories about your suitcase being opened and checked, or do you know of somebody else's suitcase that has been opened and checked? Please do let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear why that was the case. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.